Good evening, everyone. We are going to call this meeting to order at 6:06 p.m. Let us start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Den 5, Pack 512 Cub Scouts, Ryan Lee, Lachlan Geary, Elliott Park, Ichiro Lastraps, and Remy Lastraps.
My name is Ryan Lee from Pack 512. Please rise for the flag ceremony. Color Guard advance. Color Guard, post the colors. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated.
Good evening. Thank you, guys. Good evening. On behalf of the La Cañada Unified School District Governing Board, I want to thank the mayor and members of City Council for joining us this evening. It is a true testament to the spirit of our community that we prioritize these joint meetings. Our two bodies are the cornerstones of public service in La Cañada Flint Ridge. They both play a critical role in shaping the quality of life for all who live here. Tonight's gathering is a powerful symbol of the partnership between the city and our school district. Our shared purpose is to create the best possible community for our students and residents, and the goal is best achieved when we communicate openly and work together constructively. Thank you again for your commitment to this partnership. I'm confident that our dialogue tonight will move us toward even greater collaboration in the future. Let's do a quick round of introductions. I'm Caroline Anderson, President of the Governing Board. I'm just going to go this way, okay?
Octavia Thuss, Vice President of the La Cañada Governing Board and 15-year resident of La Cañada.
Josh Epstein, Governing Board Clerk. I will be a 16-year resident of La Cañada as of tomorrow, and this is my second term on the Governing Board.
I'm Dan Jeffries, a member of the Governing Board since 2013, and I don't remember how long we've lived here. It's been a while. Proud father of 5 kids, 2 out in the real working world now, 2 in college, 1 in North Carolina, 1 in New Jersey, and 1 college senior that I've been touring around with trying to find a home for her for next year.
Joe Radabaugh, Governing Board member and parent.
Mayor?
Caroline, is this red for all? Oh, see, red is off for us. This is important. This is why we do it. Kim Bowman, I have the privilege of being your mayor this year. Importantly, tomorrow I'll be dressed as a magician. Tomorrow, my youngest daughter, who is 1, will be dressed as a bunny rabbit. She will be found in a hat that I'm holding on Indianola Way.
Very good. My name is Jeannie Hobson. I'm the mayor pro temp for the city. I have 4 kids. We will not be in any type of costumes tomorrow. And I've lived here for almost 30 years now. Thank you.
Thank you. Stephanie Fossen, I've been a member of City Council since 2024, proud parent of 4 kids who've graduated from La Cañada High School. And I will be on Indianola tomorrow looking at all the cute little trick-or-treaters because I don't have any anymore.
Mike Davitt, City Council member for the last 14 years, resident for super long time. we'll leave it at that. And so, pleasure to be here.
My wife and I were married here in 2010. 3 kids, and I've coached a lot of baseball, softball teams.
Red. Thank you very much. Next, we actually have Joint Use Unsung Heroes Award. I'm going to ask Dan Jordan and Wendy Sinnett to come up and present those.
Good evening, everyone. We're very happy to host you, and thank you for coming out. This is a new tradition, a new award for us, and so I'd like to present it on behalf of the City Council for the City of La Cañada Flint Ridge and the La Cañada Unified School District Governing Board. These are our Unsung Hero Awards, and we are pleased tonight to present them to 2 fine, upstanding members of our community who provide an incredible service. I'd like to ask Mr. Mario Bocanegra to come forward, please. We are incredibly fortunate to have Mario as our crossing guard at PCY. Every morning and every afternoon, he greets students and families with a warm smile, a friendly hello, often calling our students by name as he helps them cross the street safely. Mario goes above and beyond to keep our busy car line running as smoothly as possible. He even under those challenging traffic conditions that so often these bodies are working on. His dedication, his positivity, his genuine care for our students always are noticed. We often receive messages from families who share their appreciation. This is a quote from one of them. Mario does a great job keeping the busy morning traffic flowing well. He's very good at what he does, and he also manages to build relationships with each kid. We couldn't agree more. Thank you, Mario, for your hard work, your kindness, and your commitment. You keep our school and community safe and well connected. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Wendy. Thank you to the school district governing board for being such gracious hosts. We intend to be very good guests. I want to call up our second unsung hero, and that is Deputy Renee Wachter. Come on up, Deputy. I'm going to read this to you. Deputy Renee Wachter, the City of La Cañada, Flint Ridge, and the La Cañada Unified School District are incredibly fortunate to have Deputy Renee Wachter serve as our Student Resource Officer. Deputy Wachter keeps our school campuses safe. She collaborates with the site administration and campus security teams. She delivers student and parent education, and she represents the Crescenta Valley Sheriff's Station daily on our school campuses. As a law enforcement officer, she demonstrates exemplary skills in responding to and investigating incidents, acting as an emergency responder, providing law-related and crisis preparedness education, and mentoring students as a positive role model. She is the perfect balance of authority and compassion, and I imagine the authority comes out to those parents who cut in the school line. And we are grateful to her for her leadership and her partnership. Congratulations, Renee.
Thank you. Next is comments from the public, so I'm going to read a little something that I read prior to all public comments. Now is the beginning of the public's opportunity to address the board, first on non-agendized items and then later on agendized items. To facilitate our goal of community involvement and input, we have two methods, well, tonight only one method of public comment. It is to appear in person, add your name to the list, and deliver your comments at the appropriate time on the agenda. We have two asks. First, as a school district, we highly value the privacy and safety of our students, so we ask that you not identify or name them. Second, please keep your comments to 3 minutes or less to allow our community members to speak. We hope that our public comments model for our students civil discourse, respectful inquiry, engaged listening, open consideration, and multiple perspectives. During our non-agendized items, the Brown Act prohibits the board from responding to or discussing your comments beyond a brief clarification, question, or request to agendize an issue for a future meeting. During agendized items, we are allowed to discuss the issue, and we hope to continue the tradition of respectful dialogue so often found in our board meetings. We ask our audience and speakers to treat one another with dignity, compassion, and respect. With that, we will start with 6A, resolution of the City Council of LCF and the Governing Board of La Cañada Unified. Wendy?
Thank you. What we'll do is I'll do a brief introduction, and Dr. Jordan will cover anything that I miss, and then that'll lead into. Did you?
Oh, see, that's why he's here, to keep me in check. You are correct. We do have a lot of them, actually. Where did I shove them? They're here. Ta-da! Okay, first is Paul, I think it's Mayor? Is Paul here? Paul Mayer? Okay, no. Next we have Mar Hung.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I am the La Cañada resident since year 2001, 24 years. So I will be happy to express my concern, really like to play the pickleball every day over there. So if you guys can consider open more pickleball for the pickleball player and extend the hours or put some lights on there, because right now they close during the nighttime, so some of the pickleball players will not be able to enjoy the facility.
Is that all? Yes?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next we have Kevin Lau. Oh, is it Kevin? Sorry if I said that wrong. Sorry.
Hello, thank you for having me speak. I'm going to be on the same topic as her. You know, I play pickleball at night, and one of the things that I think is a great benefit to the community is to have some lights on there so that we can be able to play a little bit longer. I feel like this is something that's good for the community. It gets the community together. I met a lot of great people while we're out there, but unfortunately, with the new time zone change here in an hour, it's going to get dark even faster. And it's a good way to keep moving. It's a good way to keep your health up. Has a lot of benefits, and I feel like lights, it's a little small thing, but it makes the community happy. Okay, that's it.
Thank you. Next we have Nonali Lasowitz.
Greetings. I hope this is 3 minutes. My name is Nalini Lazowitz. I live on 4634 Lear Drive over by the Sagebrush area. Over the past few years, I've been working with acoustics engineers, medical doctors, attorneys, and neighbors across the country, many of whom are struggling to preserve the peaceful enjoyment of their homes as they contend with the increasingly noisy soundscape of our modern society, particularly in residential neighborhoods. I've learned that there is an absence of legislation concerning the annoyance of noise, And this is something I wanted to bring up to all of our elected officials as we plan for the future. It's so great to be here. In recent years, noise-induced annoyance, anxiety, sleep disturbances, and hypertension from long-term exposure has been gaining national recognition. And over the past few months, residents living near the Williams Reservoir on Ocean View and Conley have been subjected to a massive increase in noise. For decades, these two small lots have served as a water storage and chlorination facility. The spring water comes down from Pickens Canyon, is stored in a big tank, and is chlorinated on its way down to Montrose and Glendale. But in recent months and over the past year, the Crescenta Valley Water District has cut back on their use of contractors and brought in-house the pipe replacement project, which is planned to go for the next 20 years. And what they've told us is that they need our little tiny lots to be their staging and lay down storage facility for all their pipe replacement projects for the next decades. The residents have been in touch with our city staff and the Crescenta Valley Water District, as well as their board members. We've reached out to a half dozen agencies trying to determine whether this change has been permitted, and as far as we know, it has not been permitted. There's been no public hearings, no notice to the residents, and no CEQA compliance. We have a lot of evidence we can show you, but I think the main takeaway is that I hope you can empathize with how complicated the overlapping jurisdictions involved in public utilities. And this is a struggle. Like any kind of noise issue, it's local. So for all the people that don't live there or get to go home, it's a problem for the people who are there. And so we are just hoping that we can get the city's commitment to help us shut down this particular yard. Yesterday alone, they dumped, we're estimating 20 truckloads, and these are gigantic trucks, of 500 tons of sand. There's gravel, there's rocks, there's pipes, and for the immediate adjacent neighbors who live elevated, the noise is terribly upsetting. So we're hoping that with your help, we can keep the reservoir the way it's always been, to be producing water, storing water, treating water, and transmitting water, not as a construction yard. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next, we have Carl Geller.
Good evening, Honorable Governing Board. Please consider this letter on behalf of all the neighbors who live adjacent to the FIS pickleball courts, fields, and surrounding Cornishon sports facilities. Yet again, I live right down the corner of Atlee Drive, so I've grown up in this area. My kids have grown up in this area. Yet again, the topic of extending outside activity into the evening hours with outside lighting is a topic before city departments. It's mentioned several times in the 2023 athletic field master plan, and it seems to be mentioned every week by the pickleball players. We all bought homes in this neighborhood knowing it would be extremely busy from sunrise to sunset, but continuing till after dark with exterior lighting is an entirely different game. With all the activities that go in here, between the schools, the tennis, the baseball, the Cornishon corridor is already overcrowded during the daylight. But most importantly, from a safety standpoint, more traffic at night will be pushed into the neighborhoods with cars speeding up Cornishon and into the Atlee corridor. Daytime traffic is already a mess. Neighbors strolling the area after dark should not have to dodge additional traffic nor deal with additional noise that comes along with after dark activity. During the last search for a pickleball location, members of our city council specifically voted against 2 locations, saying the addition of pickleball would alter the character of the neighborhood. I've sent you all a petition signed by 63 neighbors in the surrounding area this past April. We do not want to change the character of our neighborhood. Catch my breath. All we want is the same thing each one of you is afforded: peace and quiet when the sun sets, no light pollution, no additional traffic, no outside gathering of groups after dark, and no late evening noise. This issue has been discussed ad nauseum for several years with multiple factions of city governance, as well as members of the La Cañada Unified School District. It's become incredibly tiresome to the residents in the affected area. Several past city councils have denied the use of lights at FIS and surrounding areas. We request that this governing board please do the same. Our neighborhood was never intended to be a nighttime sports complex. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carl. Next, we have Bob Blaskowitz.
Thank you for opening us up to comment. I'm Nalini's husband. She talked to you about our situation with the reservoir. The reservoir, I'd like to give you a few more details. It's immediately adjacent to 5 homes on Lear and 5 homes across Ocean View. A dozen more are impacted. This is a residential, not a commercial or industrially zoned location. The current permit in place does not allow for laydown and staging. CVWD has decided to replace the use of outside contractors for piping replacement, repair, and installation. A set of pilot jobs was pursued starting in the middle of 2024. We've analyzed the staff report and review that was approved for implementation by CVWD on July 22nd. It indicates that activity will very soon see a 4-fold increase from pilot levels with a surge to an 8-fold increase by 2031. So let's look at the current situation. It's a traffic and public safety hazard. The narrow entrance exit lane for the yard is almost immediately across from the point where Cross Street ends at a 3-way stop sign. Nalini mentioned the 500 tons delivered yesterday. It was over an 8-hour period and was constant. All the dirt was uncovered when it was going in and out. Because they can't pull in or leave directly via the narrow driveway, the trucks often use the intersection to make 3-point turns, pulling backwards into Cross, tying up the intersection, which is, I assume, not only unsafe, but illegal. Trailers are often unhooked and left unattended in the parking lanes on Cross Street. Also illegal, I've been told. We have a lot of video and photo evidence about this. They use Daisy, Cypress, and Rockland, which is in the immediate area, very narrow adjacent streets, and like Cross, no sidewalks to sometimes get to and from that yard. This is putting pedestrians in peril. Yesterday, when an elderly resident tried to prevent his driveway from being blocked, he was yelled at by a truck driver who said he'd hoped he'd die that night, believe it or not. Then there's the noise. In addition to the trucks beeping every time they must back up, the loaders beep during every shovel load. It's a beeping that's designed to be highly disturbing. Every load of dirt that's dropped off makes ground-shaking noise, sometimes rocks, sometimes concrete pipes. It goes on 24/7 at times, preventing neighbors from being able to sleep or peacefully enjoy their yards, often around before and after construction hours that are approved in La Cañada. Finally, there's the air quality. A great deal of dust is stirred up, and diesel fumes permeate the area. It's our position that given the current and soon to increase unpermitted activity, this yard needs to be shut down as soon as possible. Thank you in advance for your help.
Thank you, Bob. Next,
Thank
we have Julie Dalmau.
Board, thank you for this opportunity to speak. My name is Julie, and I am here on representing the pickleball courts, hoping that we can open more courts and decrease the wait times. I'm a retired senior, and it's a great opportunity for me to meet other seniors and to network within the community. But sometimes I spend too much time talking because it's a 20 to 30 minute wait between a 10-minute game. So I get about 3 games in about 2 hours. So anyway, I just was hoping that we could consider opening some of the courts across the street, which are completely empty 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. All right, thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Julie. Next, we have Alan Pygin.
Good evening. My name is Alan Peigan. I'm a 25-plus year resident, and not surprisingly, I'm going to talk a little bit about pickleball. Pickleball is still the fastest growing sport in America, 5 years in a row. It is now growing exponentially fast worldwide. They just had a major worldwide tournament throughout Asia. All the American pros went out there to play in that competition. I'm going to share a couple of things, recent things that have happened related to pickleball and parks in general. I was able to go out to Sierra Vista Park in Sierra Madre the other day. They converted 2 tennis courts to 8 pickleball courts. Interesting, the neighbors are directly on the property line of the pickleball courts where they were installed. And even more interesting, not that I agree with this, the hours are from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., so there's a pretty long day there, and we'll see how that goes. Also interesting is there is a YMCA right in the middle of the park, so I assume they have some sort of a negotiated agreement with them. I was also able to attend the grand reopening at Fremont Park in Glendale. Beautiful park. They completely renovated it. Just amazing what they did. They converted tennis courts to pickleball courts, and during the grand opening, beautiful Saturday morning, 10 a.m., there were 50-plus pickleball players playing on the new courts, and there was nobody on the adjacent tennis courts playing. A large crowd of people, many hundreds of people, free food probably brings them out. And again, I would say there, this park is completely surrounded by housing. And again, they run night courts there. They've also got a soccer field, which has, stadium lighting on it, completely adjacent to all the neighbors, maybe 100 feet away at the most. Talk a little bit about students. We're getting a lot of students playing over at Cornishin. It's a wonderful thing. I know at least 3 different groups of students now from LCHS that have tried to establish a club. To my understanding, they have still not been able to get any space allocated to where they can play. This has been going on for at least several years, since I was in one of the meetings many years ago. So it's not that difficult to make a pickleball court. Any paved concrete area just can be roped off and put some tape down, and then temporary net, and I can help provide that if necessary. It's great to have them out at the Cornishin courts. Some really good players. Hope they stick with it. At Cornishin itself, we all know we'd like to get some extra courts across the street, and then at the specific Cornishin, lighting and a pedestrian gate would be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Next, we have Alex Guerrero.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alex Guerrero. I am a local resident, as is pretty much everybody in this room. I'm an attorney. My wife is a nurse. We have 4 kids that go to La Cañada Public Schools. As I was listening to everybody introduce themselves, everybody here lives in La Cañada. That's great. How many of you actually live on Atlee Drive right here off Cornishin? Probably me, Grace, Carl. Not many of you have to deal with what we have to deal with on a daily basis, which is trash, noise, congestion, traffic, people making U-turns right on your street, people making U-turns right in the middle of Cornishin, making it during certain times of the day impassable to even use Cornishin to get up to Foothill Boulevard. If we want to leave our house and get up to Foothill, many times we have to go all the way down to Descanso, go up Chevy Chase, or go out the other way. This area is already saturated at its maximum capacity. It's really easy for people to come here and say, oh, we need more pickleball courts, and oh, I can meet people playing pickleball. That's fantastic. But they're not living here. They're not dealing with the consequences of lights, trash, noise, traffic. My kids all played baseball here. We loved it, but during baseball season, you cannot park on Cornishin, you cannot park on Atlee Drive, and you cannot park on many of the surrounding streets. Any further expansion of the use of this area, we personally would consider to be a public nuisance. We are going to take a look at that and see what our potential remedies could be. But we are adamantly opposed, and I speak for pretty much everyone who lives on Atlee and some of the surrounding streets, we've recently met about this, any further expansion of any of the facilities here. We love it, it's fine. Our kids play basketball here, they play baseball here, we play tennis here, and some of us even play pickleball. But you know what? It's at its maximum. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. I'm going to give Paul one more time. Paul? No? Okay. No, Paul. We will now go to 6A, which is resolution for the City of LCF and Governing Board of La Cañada Unified. Wendy?
Thank you. As I said before, I'll lead off on these items, and then Dr. Jordan can chime in if I miss anything or he has an addition. Attached to this item is a resolution entitled the Structure for Joint Governance between the City Council of the City of La Cañada Flint Ridge and the Governing Board of the La Cañada Unified School District. It is recommended that the Governing Board and City Council review and discuss the resolution with the goal of voting to approve it.
That's all you got, Wendy? No, I'm kidding. That's fine. No, I think that says it very, very succinctly, and that is what's before you, so I would turn it over to our elected officials.
Sorry, it's opposite of what we have up there, actually, too. Any discussion?
Sure, I can kick it off. Hi, everybody. Joe Radabaugh here.
And sorry, to be clear, no public comment on this item. We've received no comment to this item. Okay, great.
So as you notice, this resolution really codifies some of the big ideas we've been working on for the past 2 or 3 years. It was December 2023, I think we met over at City Council Hall, our City Hall, to talk about a way to put some structure, a formalized structure in around joint governance. Not joint governance for everything related to schools and everything related to city, but on our specific shared items, master plan, strategy, things like that. And our desire was to move beyond being transactional. We're really good on the day-to-day, but we needed to break the model to get ahead of that, be more strategic, and put in place the framework to do this beyond just meeting with the Joint Use Committee. So I'm really excited. This kind of represents everything we talked about. We, Mayor Bowman and myself, did reciprocal presentations to City Council and the School Board back, July, I think, and cementing the concepts that we agreed upon the prior 12 months. And so this reflects that in this resolution. The governance team at the highest level, which is all of us, the administrative team that would set the agenda and keep things moving, the operations team, which would be a repurpose of the Joint Use Committee. And the rationale behind that was the Joint Use Committee was originally around field management, but as we know, we have so many other issues we deal with in the city that we just said, let's accept that and expand the scope of that operations team. And then recognizing if we want to get things moving, the bottom level was creating working teams. And those working teams may not just be elected officials, it could be experts in the community, vendor partners, staff members, depending on what we want to do as to really implement any kind of master plan ideas. So I'll turn it over, but I'm pretty excited. I think this represents what we've been discussing the last, really probably 2+ years, and it's long overdue.
You know, I'll just say thank you to Board Member Radabaugh for the work and the teamwork that we were able to do. The goal when I was working with the city attorney and we were crafting the resolution was to, as close as possible with a legal framework, mirror what you all have seen and what we've been talking about since 2023. I think that's the product that we've presented to you. So my support for this should be pretty obvious, but I look forward to any changes that we think we need to make at this level. I will say simply, though, that the goal here is to establish a framework. Operating procedures, like this says we're going to have 2 meetings a year. It doesn't say exactly when or that we're going to alternate, though our understanding is that we will develop a protocol to come back to you in March that will spell out some of those details that don't necessarily need to live in this document. We're trying to keep things where they belong. But, you know, for us, this is an away game. We appreciate y'all having us. And I think the hope would be that we're taking turns and that we're splitting administrative burdens in a way that makes sense. So I think my only note would be this is the beginning of something. It is far from the end of it. It's not inclusive of all the work that we will still need to do. Thank you.
I just wanted to add that I feel like we were already doing this in some ways, so it's really great that we're going to get it in writing, so for future boards, right, so they know how we're supposed to work together. With that, I'm going to make a motion because, no? Oh, sorry, Josh.
I have a question, and it's not on the resolution, it's really on Exhibit A, and it may be just my misunderstanding of the document, but I just wondered, there's a certain specificity to it. I'm looking at number 1, joint governance team, and it says, you know, we'll have 2 joint meetings per year with the first meeting to be scheduled in the fall of 2025. And that's all I think is fine, but I do wonder about the prescriptiveness of this in the situation where we might need 3 meetings if we were doing something, or we can't find a way to do 2 meetings. And I guess my question is this just an informal, this Exhibit A, an informal example of what this could be, or is this what we are approving as part of the resolution? Because I also, you know, the item B, just talking about what the meetings initially will be, again, it feels like, do we need that as part of the document? So I guess that's my question, is more of what exactly is Exhibit A and how formal is that part of this resolution?
Yeah, so I can answer that. Exhibit A is an exhibit of the document and is incorporated into the document. And so when we adopt the resolution, we're saying this is our intention, that we intend to do this. Now, it's not an ordinance, right? There's no law broken. Deputy Wachter will not come back and arrest us if we decide to have a slight difference here. I think more importantly, it is our ability to establish that this is the way we intend for these things to work, and that we intend to try and uphold this framework with and amongst each other.
Yeah, I'm fine. I mean, that makes sense to me. I guess I would feel like we could use softer language, because when we talk about, shall meet at least 2 times per year, we soften it in other places and we don't here. I don't know how you would soften it, because I do think there's possibility we'd want to meet more than twice or less than twice, but I mean, maybe it's not necessary. I don't know. I just thought it was worth discussing before we all agree here.
Yeah, so procedurally, you certainly can make a change that says, for example, shall have no fewer than 2 meetings a year. Nothing in this would ever prevent us from holding more. It's inherent in our authority to hold special meetings, and if we decide to do that together, it's just like the first time, right? In December of 2023, there was no document. We just decided to get together and hold it. So I would say that it's less prescriptive than it may appear, but by all means, I think language changes that help explain what we're trying to get at are good, for the reason that the board president said. Our goal is to communicate to the community transparently what we're doing, and to make it clear for the future iterations of these bodies, what are you supposed to be doing? So please.
Well, it may not be that complicated to make some quick tweaks. It sounds like in the second one we say shall meet at least twice. So that's more open-ended to do more or less. The first one is very prescriptive in terms of shall have 2. Maybe it's the full city council and full LCUSD board desire to meet at least twice a year. And it's something that changed where it's not so hard-coded, and that allows us some wiggle room, so we can make a tweak there. Mayor Bowman and I discussed right prior that there was also a desire that the administrative group, section 2, no, which one was it?
You're looking for?
Yeah, it was section 2, which says the city's mayor and the LCUSD board president shall meet at least 2 times per year. Well, we need to put in, what if there needs to be another designee? And so the city's mayor and LCUSD board's president or their appointed designees shall attempt to meet at least twice per year. Can we do those quick changes that would soften the language that make people satisfied, or you want to leave it where the intention is to do this and we have wiggle room if we don't?
I like it. I think it's helpful.
Change is good for me.
Both of those changes.
So wherever it's hard-coded shall, we'll move that to some softer language. Desire to, attempt to, and so it's a little bit more open-ended to give us some wiggle room. So that would be in section 1, section 2, and we'll add the designees. I think 3 is hard-coded in terms of the number of members, that's good. In joint meetings 6 times per year, that is the cadence that we generally meet already with joint use, so we can leave that for now probably. And we have special meetings or make adjustments along the way when we can't, right? I think everything else holds. And Josh, you comfortable with that? Okay.
You know, I think I agree with the intent of what we're doing. I just think I see Nairi over there trying to make sure we've got the language down. So maybe we should just make it really clear what the language we're talking about striking and adding would be, just so when she has it, she's got the final resolution of it.
It is the board president's meeting if you want to make a restatement for record, and then we can move from there.
Oh, thanks, Kim.
I'm happy to help however you want. To say I defer to you, which is to say I defer.
Mayor Bowman.
Which is to say I defer to the gentlelady to my left. Okay. All right. So then, what I believe the consensus is in what has been marked as what has been agendized as item 1 in exhibit A as an alpha. In section 1, it will now read, shall endeavor to have 2 joint meetings per year. In sub 2, shall endeavor to meet at least 2 times per year.
With designees or designee.
And then, exactly, yes. And so I don't think we need any other time limit changes. So then the only other change is the one that is to 2, the city's mayor and LCUSD's board president or their designees. I believe those are the only changes that there was a consensus on. Are there any additions or corrections?
That Nairi's okay with it, copied it down correctly? Okay, good. Thank you, Mr. President.
I just was hoping to jump in with a quick comment. I'm very excited about this. I think it is the culmination of a lot of thinking. The city has just had its first strategic planning session in several years and invited the public, I think, for the first time to bring that in. And I look forward to having a similar process where we can really work together, but also work with the community to figure out where we want to go. And that longer term thinking, I think, is going to be really important for getting bigger projects done. And I think as we think about the operations group, that has been really good at handling the day-to-day, and what I think will be very important going forward is having that longer-term strategic thinking so we can get some bigger ideas on the table and see if our community supports them. So thank you for putting this together.
And I think I'd add to it that this very meeting tonight shows how important it is to have something like this. When we honor our sheriff's deputy and a crossing guard who really do perform services for both the city and the school district, and yet our joint use agreement talks about fields. And so we've gone so far beyond that in terms of what we do jointly together that I think it's an ideal time. And tonight's meeting shows just how important that is. So if you're ready for a motion. I'm sorry.
Thank you. I was just going to say I agree wholeheartedly as being the newest member on the Joint Use Committee that we cover so many different topics that I think having an infrastructure along with the strategy is incredibly important. And I don't think we had that infrastructure to be able to do the bigger strategic projects that we wanted to get done. So I'm actually very excited about this as well.
And then procedurally, because I know we're about to hear a motion, I think the approach will be that we'll take 2 votes. So again, home field advantage, we'll defer.
So I need a motion.
I would move on behalf of the La Cañada Unified School District to approve Resolution 8-25-26, the establishment of a joint governance framework with amendment, correction, Exhibit A as amended.
A second.
Second.
Oh, okay. All those in favor on my side of the room? Motion passes. Mayor Bowman?
All right, and then so for the city council, I will ask what the pleasure of the body is.
Happy to make a motion.
I second.
And so I understand that the motion is to adopt the resolution noted as item 1 in our agenda as amended. All right, any further discussion or deliberation? There being none, without objection, we'll move to a vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? There being none, the matter carries 5-0, and we have a joint resolution.
Next, we have 6B, discussion item, need to redesign, redevelop existing joint use master agreement. Wendy?
Thank you. This is a brief slide deck, and we will attempt to outline the purpose and the history and the current status of our joint use agreement. So as we know it, our joint use agreement, the most current master agreement, was adopted in December of 2000, although there's some indication that there was a prior agreement, but our current doorstop, which is this thick and not digitized, it has a date, an original date of December of 2000. The resolution recitals in the joint use master agreement refer to section 10,900 of the California Education Code, and it empowers district and cities to work with each other to promote and conduct community and educational programs. Both parties desired and have established a basis for cooperative use of certain specified recreational and educational facilities, and together we recognize and value this arrangement and seek to endeavor always to make sure that we are working towards the public's best interest.
Thank you, Wendy. Absolutely. And in case anybody was interested, you referenced the doorstop. I couldn't help but bring it, and it started off as one master agreement, and I think it now has 18 or 19 addenda to it, so slightly less than the U.S. Constitution, but it was getting there. So I think modernizing it with those ideas in mind is clearly where we're going. Thank you.
And then just to give a quick list of the properties and services that fall under our joint use agreement. As I think everyone is aware, in terms of courts, we have our pickleball courts, our tennis courts at Cornichon, and our tennis courts at the high school. In terms of additional properties, there are fields that are listed, including restrooms. They include the LCHS JV baseball, LCHS varsity baseball, the Oak Grove JV and varsity softball fields, the Cornichon field, the FIS lower, FIS upper, except for construction when a field at one of our elementary schools needs to come offline. We have the fields at LCE, PCR, and PCY, and then included in our joint use agreement is Memorial Park. In terms of additional properties, Lanterman Auditorium and the Lanterman parking lot are included under the joint use master agreement. And then the services are extensive. The services covered under joint use are our school resource officer, crossing guards, the IRC or the Information Resource Center, extended hours that are open and available to the entire community, the Musco lighting for the fields and that corresponding billing, field maintenance, and then, which is incredibly important and beneficial to allow this joint use agreement to work, and then also, which is very time consuming and probably should be spoken about by Kristen and Arbo, user group scheduling. So, anything else?
No, other than to say under those services, I mean, that is really the cornerstone of what the city is very, very happy to provide under this agreement. We work, it's now a budget line item that we've had. We actually have made it into a separate program, so it's something that we're very proud to be able to do and want to continue.
So this next slide endeavors to just briefly outline some of the current challenges that we're facing. And if you'll hit the first bullet, Dan, just because that's directly a city interest.
Yeah, sure. And I mean, the text refers to concerns of our insurance provider over providing insurance given the current contours of the agreement. And I think what that essentially sort of boils down to is this is an old agreement. Like the agreement itself, there's a lot of sort of modernizing best practices that we need to bring into it. And over the course of the last year, with the assistance of our city attorney and our insurance provider, they've pinpointed a couple of items that we want to make sure are to the level that they need to be, and that the city's sort of control and authority is consistent with our level of responsibility, accountability, and yes, the terrible L word, liability. So those are really what I think we all realize that. Again, it's a very old agreement. There's been a lot of new contract templates that we, the city, have used since this agreement was first crafted in 2000, and we really just need to update it. Thanks, Wendy.
And then as we seek to re-envision, update the agreement, we recognize the challenges that the city's facing. And, you know, as we re-envision the document, there are challenges for LCUSD. Budgetarily, we would not be able to, with a seamless transition, be able to take over the maintenance of the fields. And so that would be something that we would need to look at. And then additionally, the scheduling obviously is labor intensive, and that would be a consideration for the district that we would have to work through as we revision the agreement, because both are, you know, costly and labor intensive, and that would be a challenge for us. So given that both parties have, you know, this important need to redesign, re-envision, recreate the joint use master agreement, we did want to end with the final bullet, which is challenges notwithstanding, both parties desire to continue the use benefits to residents under a new agreement, and that will be something that we endeavor to develop going forward.
Thank you, Wendy. Do you guys do comments from public first? Is that why you said that? 'Cause we do.
No, we would take any questions and non-deliberative matters with staff first, and then to public comment before our internal discussion and deliberation.
Oh, okay, because usually we just we discuss and then we go to public comment. So we'll be nice and do it your way.
It's your
Okay.
house.
So
And if you haven't received cards, then it doesn't matter.
Grace Kung.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. So this is kind of segues a little bit for some of the earlier comments from the non-agenda items. So I am also a resident on Atlee, and we talked a lot about community. La Cañada is a community. Our street on Atlee, we are a community. You know, when we see a fire truck or an ambulance on that street, we are out there making sure our neighbors are okay. So don't think it's just one or two neighbors. This is our whole street. We're very concerned about the addition of the lights and having use towards in the evening hours. And I read in the agenda on page 11, I think one of the proposals about potentially using the fields on Sundays. Now we know that there's an inconvenience with car line going up Cornichon, fine. We know that there are soccer practices, fine. We know Saturdays are a mess. We literally cannot park in front of our own house. But fine, we know that. And on perfect storms, on Saturday evenings, if there's an event at Lanterman and games, there are cars parked all the way Cornichon, all the way down to Descanso. So we are aware of that, okay. But trying to extend this inconvenience, and I honestly will say it's a nuisance, to evening hours, and then potentially on Sundays, is a huge inconvenience, a nuisance to those who live in this area. We've had to deal with people parking illegally diagonal on street corners where you can't even come out our street to see traffic. We finally got red curbs painted. So there's a lot of traffic, a lot of safety issues with all this kind of congestion, and I am sympathetic to people wanting to play pickleball. I have nothing against pickleball, but please just consider the ramifications of extending the recreational area in our neighborhood. Think about if this was in your neighborhood, would you want all this traffic and congestion in the evenings, on Saturdays, and on Sundays? And so please just kind of take the consideration of not just one or two people, but it is a whole community of our neighbors who live in this area who are very, very concerned about this propositions. And again, I'm sympathetic to wanting to be able to have our students and other people in the community want to have more space. but I don't know if this is the right place to do it. Parking is terrible. And I'll just throw in, because we're talking about recreational facilities, there's no AED in the Cornichon gym. I heard that there's one in the district office, but I don't know if that's easily accessible after hours or on the weekends. There's tons of kids, older people, various ages, and it's a safety issue to not have an AED readily available. Thank you very much.
You know, Madam President, because this is an agendized item, we can respond to this. And I think maybe just briefly ask, I think, Jamie, you're kind of heading up all of our AED issues. Do we have plans for an AED in the gym?
Melissa's got it.
Okay.
Sorry, Dan. I actually responded to Dr. Grace today. She had emailed Kristen originally, and since that's not a joint use gym, I responded back and let her know that there is one in the district office there, but as she mentioned, we do not have one on the weekends. The user groups that have their activities, they do know that they're able to bring one, but because due to the theft and vandalism that we've seen at other facilities, we don't have one there. Same as for the pickleball area as well. So there's no way to safely secure it where it doesn't just walk away and they're $1,300 a piece. And so unfortunately, there's no way to have one where then it doesn't disappear since we don't have cameras in there.
Okay, thank you. It would be nice if we could get one in there, but I understand the challenges.
Does anyone have any comments or questions to this item? It's informational, so we don't have to vote on it.
First off, I think our forefathers saw the benefit of pursuing the joint use arrangement. I think it was really a triple win, in my mind, between the city, the district, and the community. So I do want to make sure. I've been on joint use for probably 7 or 8 years now. I was president of our baseball league. I understand how valuable our fields and our facilities are, and I just really want this group to work through, trying to find a way to make this work. I do feel that we got to be careful that it seems that we're a little stuck, and I'd like to see us get unstuck. And maybe that's having a group of people kind of talk through the opportunities to the arrangement. I know Wendy and Dan have been starting to preliminarily meet, and that's great. But if we need to unstuck ourselves and pull maybe a little bit larger group together to kind of really think through the issues, because I think those are legitimate issues faced by the city, the liability. But we also know maybe there's some innovative ways to try to get over some of those humps. There's a lot of communities in the state of California that do joint use arrangements, and I know they have some of the same issues of insurance and liability and things like that. So we have a lot of empathy for what the city's trying to balance across liability issues. We have to do the same thing, and I just want to see us work together on behalf of the community to try to navigate this in a way that protects that win-win-win.
I think I'd add, as a long-term member of the joint use, also that I see the incredible value of it. I've coached LCBSA baseball and softball and AYSO, and I've been out there on all of our fields so many years that I see the real value of having fields that we have available for everyone. And I was at AYSO game the other night, and we were putting the goals away, and I told the dad that the Dodger game is tied in the 11th inning, and he said, well, how long is it going to go? And I said, well, we don't know. It's baseball, and he, as a soccer dad, had no clue what that meant. Why would you not have an ending timer? But that's kind of the way I feel about this joint resolution, and I think that that's what worries me about it, because looking through the doorstop of materials there's one of them that's called Supplemental Agreement 06-01, which can be read as resetting the clock on when the joint use agreement expires. That resolution was signed by the city on June 5th of 2006 and signed by the district on June 15th of 2006. And the relevance of that is that it had a 10-year period, and after the expiration of that 10-year period, another 10-year period would start. So one reading of all that stock of documents is that we could be coming up on an expiration date as soon as this summer. And so I would like to see us, while we move forward with all the things that we need to do to help the city figure out the liability, help the figure out what we can make changes and improvements and tweaks, that we have something in place to make sure everything doesn't just grind to a halt next June. Because I think that would be the worst thing we could do, is for all of our user groups, whether they're pickleball or baseball or softball or any of our other user groups, or even the park, music in the park, all those things that we do on a year-round basis, we want to make sure, all of us in this room want to make sure those continue. And so I think if we need to, I would like to see us have some sort of stopgap measure to continue on in case we do have this expiration date looming.
And so for clarification, your understanding of that date is it's 31 May of next year?
My
1
understanding
June?
from supplemental agreement 06-01 would be that would be 10 years plus 10 years from the date of signing by the district, and that would have been June 15th, 2006, so that an expiration date of June 15th, 2026 is quite likely an understanding of what the documents read. It is extremely confusing because there are so many supplemental agreements that starts out with one set of dates, switches to another set of dates, it changes and resets the clock and gets the clock going again and all those, but one reading of all those documents is it could be expiring this summer.
As I recall from listening to an old joint use meeting, there were 3 readings. One was that it's already expired, one was this 26 date, and one was something way farther out into the future. So I guess I think it's really important that we don't overemphasize that date as something that is one of multiple potential readings. At the same time, I think it would personally, I think it would behoove us to get a jump on it and figure out how to sort of start moving this along so that we can come to the new view that works for both parties. And I think it is very clear that both parties would like to, make sure that we continue to provide these services to the community. And so I'm 100% in favor of Mr. Radabaugh's suggestion that we find ways to sort of kickstart this, because it is, what is it? It's almost November. June is not that far away. I wouldn't want that to sort of be the only thing we're focused on, but it is a nice reminder that we need to get going. And so I think it would be very helpful if we really get going on this, and maybe we could talk about how we might do that.
Could I just say something? I think what Dan's talking about is pretty real. So it sounds like, without being lawyeristic, that the first thing we would do is say, notwithstanding the 12,000 modifications that have been in the past, but we should keep the joint use agreement in place for like the next 2 or 3 years while this new system works out. And you could maybe put in some language that says, notwithstanding the date, but it would go on for the next 36 months. I'm making the date up, you could pick it. And also says, or until there's a new agreement in place, which is what I think the intent of this is. So, but I think that to lose what we have already is not going to be helpful to anyone. It just doesn't make sense. So in fairness, it would probably be better just to codify that in writing. As Dan brought up, I mean, it's a very good point.
Yeah, and the good news on something like that is that we can do it in May of 2026 and lose nothing. So the first step is not let's extend the agreement 36 months. It's let's see if we can get a new agreement in place that supersedes it by January and then not worry about the implications of next summer because we got there. But fair, if we get to May and we're having a desperate situation, of course, I'm a big believer in you put on 2 parachutes and you still try and land the plane well. So we will be thoughtful. I think what we've heard is that there's consensus around the table to be legal and to be joint in our action in a way that preserves community use because, and I don't know that everyone knows this, when you look at the joint use spaces, they actually are 50-50 between the amount of time the school uses them and the time that the community uses them. They are truly maybe the most community thing there is. So no one wants to lose that, and we'll be very careful to make sure that that doesn't happen. I think that's a consensus position on both sides.
Yeah, I think the only thing that strikes me is just, the amount of time it will take if there's a material change, even to something like field maintenance, if that was to become a district, something the district would manage. Like the the wind up to that, it's not, we can't just turn it on, you know, I mean, that's a purchase of equipment, it's a purchase of storage for that equipment, it's an entirely different contract. So I think as we figure this out, we're going to have to kind of create a date and say, you know, if this is going to happen, it has to happen this far out, and we'll have to talk to staff about what that would look like.
Yeah, John, building on that, we're a Titanic, and it takes a long time. Budget cycles. Yeah, well, fair enough. We don't want to hit the iceberg, but it takes a long time to turn the ship sometimes around budget cycles and things like that. And just on behalf of the community around the permitting windows, the joint use made the change, with Park and Rec's help, to go to 6-month cycles. And that permit process starts, I think, now in December, right? So you're potentially putting a permit window in place that you can't fulfill if we end at June 15th. So I think just be mindful that we're coming up against some, those permittees want to know, do I have a 6-month permit or do I have 5.5 months? And so it's things like that that we just be careful on as we navigate. Because it's catching up to us quick on this.
Yeah, and the good news is that I don't think anyone has to worry that we're going to take a field off the table, right? The intent, what you've heard, and again, I think this is not for these 10 folks up here, I think it's for the community to hear and to know. What you hear us saying is that our commitment is that those fields are there today, and they're going to be there tomorrow, and they're going to be there next year. We're working on the background stuff. We are making the sausage in front of you, but from the user group perspective, I don't expect their experience is going to do anything but get better as we work closer together. So by all means, we want to be transparent about how we're working this out, but don't expect, my expectation is that the users will not experience a radical change in any way, shape, or form. And that if we do make a major change, like let's just say that we switched parties and said the school's doing all the permitting now, for some reason if you wanted that. I'm getting some head shakes here, not something that looks like they're, but let's just pretend for the sake of the discussion that they did, we would ramp that up. That's not an overnight thing. We would have to ramp that up, and we would have to make all appropriate concessions and amendments to agreements to make it so. So from my perspective, know that you have partners over here and that we are working a logistical issue sitting on the same side of a table as opposed to each other. Right? This is going to be and again, this is actually kind of a good setup. We're in your house. Most of these lands are owned by the school, and then the city spends about $1.25 million, not including staff time and salary, to do our part of that agreement. We both have a lot at stake, and so I think we very much want to see what is the vision that the school would like for its land, and then how do we as a city make sure that we're fulfilling our part of that commitment. So by all means, I'm comfortable if what I'm hearing is we need a work group, we could do that, right? We just adopted a resolution that says we can have a work group to work this issue.
Yeah, because Mayor Bowman, doing that inside the joint use meeting structure as it exists today, it is designed against making that. We need to pull offline and put a work group together with some deliverables and milestones, because this is, right now I can just see us chugging along and Wendy and Dan doing their darndest, but they really need to pull us into and enroll us in what that outcome's going to look like.
I agree 100%. I was just thinking that this isn't going to get done in joint use. I know Wendy and Dan have made great strides in starting this, but it is going to require a lot more minds against this, putting their full energy, because permitting processes, we just talked about that takes a long time. It's usually a lot of discussions with a lot of coalitions and user groups that have to be informed, they have to be educated about this, so it's not just the 10 people here, it's a lot of different community groups that will be affected.
By accident. Anyone else have any other comments?
You know, I think I do want to make one more comment about that. We really appreciate all the city does. Like that, the decisions that you guys have to make are hard ones. You know, when you have people talking about how to use the pickleball courts or what hours or whether to do lights, that's a hard decision. There are people on both sides of it in our community. And not that our school board shies away from making decisions, because we make decisions about textbooks and curriculum and all those kind of things all the time, but a decision about that affects our entire community, you know, the people that live near there, the people that don't live near there, all the people who use it, is to me one of those things that's perfectly appropriate for a city and a city Parks and Rec and a city council to make the decision. It's hard for us on the school board to weigh all those things, much less understand all the different community issues that go into it. So I very much appreciate all the work that our city council and our city staff do to keep all that stuff running, because it is something that's incredibly complicated and would be very hard for the school board to do.
As a proud parent of a PCR Panther, thank you all for what you do. Any other discussion on our side on this one?
Okay, great. That gives us to 6C joint.
Well, I would say, real quick, there was some discussion, should there be a work group? I think that, bear in mind, there's two ways to do that. One is legislatively, which is to say we could vote to create work groups, but that does come with it a Brown Act requirement that may not be helpful at this stage. Instead, however, as a mayor and as a board president, I know that we make appointments to committees, and it might well make sense that this is one of those work groups where we each pick a person and put them in the room with Wendy and Dan, so that they have a couple of extra set of hands to work and lift on this. So my expectation is I will likely make an appointment from one of the five of us to that work group for that effort at this stage, and of course.
Same with us. We may adjust even who is on the normal joint use as well.
And I'll telegraph that as well. I intend to pull myself off of the operational team, as it's now known, formerly known as joint use, such that I will not be at those meetings. So I think we're going to see, after tonight's meeting, we'll see a restaffing and a reallocation of our folks on these different efforts. So thank you.
And I think from all the heads nodding around the table that it sounds like we have consensus that our direction to staff is to try and create an ad hoc group created and staffed at the discretion of the mayor and our school board president.
Thank you, Dan. 6C, joint governance discussion item, developing a strategic master plans. Wendy's kicking us off again.
Thank you. Based on the governing board and the city council's adoption of tonight's resolution on joint governance, it is recommended that the elected officials engage in a discussion of the development of a strategic master plan, as well as to begin identifying at a high level the scope of the plan and the likely projects for inclusion.
Kim, you had added this master plan 21-22 revision of 23, and I am not, is this something that's a living document, or is this a example of what it could be?
Yeah, so this was our attempt to comply with the requirement that there be something on the agenda to indicate to the community the nature and scope of what we might be talking about, so that we're being compliant, but also so that we're being a little bit fair. This is just the closest product we have ever put together before between the two organizations. This is by no means a strategic master plan, because it deals with one very small subset of all of the issues that we have to deal with here in town. A proper strategic master plan would account for all of the lines of effort that we intend to take on together, of which certainly, almost certainly, I should say, let me speak for everybody, but almost certainly how we deal with active spaces like courts and fields would be a piece of that. But there's all the other things too. And so this is just the most recent thing that we have done together. I think it's a helpful piece of information, but by no means is it a directional document.
Build on that. As a member of we created a few years ago, we were trying to get beyond transactional. We were sitting in a room saying, oh my gosh, we know we have field constraints, but we need to figure out a way to break those constraints. And so we created a subcommittee, really robust, to work on the wants and needs of the community to build out a field master plan. And so, but that was another example that got stuck on the back end because we didn't really have the mechanism to properly bring it to move some mountains to get some of those moving. So I would love that be an item. But Mayor Bowman, I think the same thing I would have said almost exactly, that collectively exhaustive, there's a lot more things that we do together. And I think a master plan, anything's fair game in that collective overlap of items, be it infrastructure, I had some notes here, public safety, transportation, waste management, technology, the arts, park and rec, green energy, redevelopment, things like that. And inside of that, there could be 50 things. Our job, though, is going to be to pick 2 or 3 and prioritize and start to move some rocks and get something moving. So I think our master plan could be bigger, or we choose as a body to pick 2 or 3 things that we can start to make progress on with work groups and our focus and everything from budgets to community town halls, whatever it takes. Because to go deep on these, that's what's going to happen. So. But I didn't know tonight if we're trying to be exact on 2 or 3 big things to get moving. We know we have the joint use one as part of it, but do we want to do something today or to figure that out for a March meeting, to what the items might be?
Or a permutation, wherein we say we want one group to go to work on, and if you're like, what are they talking about? If you go back to the first item, the first whereas clause lists 8 types of things that we all do together, and only one of them deals with, you know, the spaces that we've just been talking a lot about. So we could say, let's have one work group, go start working on these 8 things and come up with what we think a master plan framework would look like, and bring that back in March so we can adopt the high-level umbrella. At the same time, and running in a parallel track, we could have a separate working group get to work on the first big rock that we all want to lift together. And there's no reason why we couldn't do both.
Do you want to tee up the big rock?
Well, member Radabaugh, you already have the mic. I hate to steal your thunder, so
No.
please.
No, I actually envisioned that the cadence of this, we would do what you said, which was to build a master plan, the elements, the look, the feel, how we prioritize, how we get to a consensus on what the top 2 or 3 items are. So I think no reason we can't go in parallel. I think one of the big items, and we heard a lot about tonight, that we want to start to move on is the redevelopment of this whole FIS area. This could be a crown jewel for our community. It's going to take a lot of thoughtful strategy, a lot of integration between constituent groups, city council, school board, taking into account neighbors and what they're looking for, traffic, public safety, usable fields, things like that. We've been talking about this for 7 or 8 years, and I think that would be, to me, one of the big ones we could get after, because this is going to be a long runway of action to get something meaningful moving. So that would be one item that we could tee up, is to start to put together a working group to start to figure out what that might look like. Or maybe it's, and that also fits into field space too, but that's one item that's on, that I think we could start to tackle, but others?
You know who we're putting on that committee already, right? On my side?
I'm looking over my shoulder. Yeah, that's right. Put me in the end for a reason.
Please.
Anything on your end?
I think that's a really interesting topic as well, and one of the things that strikes me from the conversation tonight is that we really have to consider parking as a
Absolutely.
big component of that, and be very aware of that sort of traffic parking as part of that. And I think what I'm excited about this new structure is that it would allow us to have the kinds of discussions that would allow us to have that kind of a big long-term plan, which probably would take, you know, multiple different phases over a very long time, and may morph over that time. But I think it would be really interesting to start having those conversations of what something ideally could look like to manage some of these problems that we're having, and also to sort of take this space that is a lovely large space, but not necessarily the most efficiently used right now, and find a way to use that in a modern way that our community wants at the moment. So I think for me personally, that would be a really exciting goal to look at, with the understanding that that would be a very lengthy long-term plan that we could all look forward to over time.
And that's part of what being a strategic plan does, is allow us as elected officials, some are going to roll off, roll on, and you need that continuity, that plan that we can get behind. And because something like this would take potentially several years between enrolling the community, visioning work, understanding the needs and wants. Can you build a parking structure? Who knows if there's no gravity what we could come up with, but we need to start the process. So.
And I would just add that, I mean, I think it's a fabulous, wonderful idea to move forward with it, but as you are saying, the scope of this is massive. There's so many stakeholders that I think that that the continuity of it is extremely important to have that, so that there's something to move forward with. But my caution would be not to get too tied up in, appointing someone and then just trying to work it through with all these things. I mean, I hate to even say it because I hate them, because you pay so much for them, but you're going to need somebody from the outside to help you govern this kind of process. And there's groups that do this for nonprofits and government agencies and school districts. So I think that's going to be a big guiding light moving forward after some of the table is set in terms of what some of the thought processes are. So I would just throw that out there as my elderly advice.
That's a great point, elderly David. I say that tongue in cheek because he knows I'm older than him. But, and I want to make sure that there are so many community stakeholders involved in this that your voice will be heard. I mean, and that is one of the benefits of, I believe, having a professional third-party consultant do this with us so that every point of view is looked at so that we can come up with a plan that's the most effective and efficient and provides the kind of usage that is fair for all with everybody's input. So I'm very sensitive to what I've heard tonight, and I want everybody in the audience to know that, and I would vote, if we're not voting, I would be in favor of using a third-party consultant for this as well.
Yeah, and I think I can maybe telegraph the way that that would work a little bit is that tonight we wouldn't be taking a vote to do any big thing. That obviously would be both impractical and truthfully inappropriate for the community. Instead, it sounds a little silly, but we're preparing to prepare. Probably we put a couple of folks together to start doing the lead work to know what other communities have done to prepare for these kinds of projects. And at March is when we would actually say, let's say, for example, vote to create a public working group that would include members of both bodies, but also community members, past mayors, past, folks who live in the community. You would actually put together a proper public working group, say at March, and then those folks would be the ones helping, for example, vet and pick consultants, and then actually doing the public outreach, because the outreach component of this and the vision process of this is a long one. And so I think what we would be thinking tonight is if this is the direction we're feeling, that again, it would be an opportunity for myself and for, as board president, for the President Anderson to pick some folks to go start doing that homework so that when we make a March agenda, we actually have something to bring you that's been vetted enough to say that is the right way to go. But whatever version of that there is, it has to be, again, it has to be a thoughtful, transparent process that is both legal and sensitive to the joint needs of the bodies, and most importantly, the community, as it's all of these folks, not just the people that live here, but who work here, who play here, who go to school here.
I'm just going to add that as a school board, we are usually very thoughtful. We take our time in making whatever decision, putting a group together, and even with the resolution, if something isn't working, we are pretty good at stopping and reevaluating. And I think it's still a promise from us that that will still be the way we operate this strategic master plan, that we will still stop and say, wait, something's not working. Let's get our heads back together and see what a different way is. So that's how we've always operated as a school board, and that's how we will continue to operate even with our city partners.
And I think, and I know we've sort of said it, and we've danced around it, but I do want to say it explicitly because my name is on the document, is that this athletic field master plan is not a document that we came up with that is a template for what we're going to do. This was, as my recollection, I mean, it's 4 years ago now that we were working on it, is that it really was more of a brainstorming session coming out of COVID about sort of what were possibilities and getting a narrow group of stakeholders to kind of have that conversation. But I can feel the tension of the idea of Sunday, opening the fields to Sunday, and it's not been a discussion that we've ever had that we've thought of doing beyond what are possible options. So I'm glad that we have this on I'm glad that we've added it to the agenda to show the work that we have done, but it is, I want to sort of put people at ease that this is not the work we were about to do. This is that was a brainstorming or collection of brainstorming sessions that happened.
Any comments from anybody else? No? Okay. Wow, I love how fast this meeting is going. So I guess that means Mayor Bowman and I will put our heads together and figure out what we're going to do with this strategic master plan and have something back to you all in March.
Yeah, I'm counting 3 working groups potentially. One for the joint use agreement that we're contemplating coming into effect as early as January next year, whenever that happens, that can supplement the work being done. I'm hearing one to start thinking about the larger umbrella strategic master plan, and I'm hearing a third to start working on the first of what are probably multiple lines of effort under that master plan, the redevelopment and reimagining of the Cornishan corridor, which I like how that sounds. This whole area in a way that is thoughtful, respectful, and appropriate. So I think I'm hearing 3, and we've got work to do.
Yes. Next is 6. I did not have any public comments that I saw. Maybe it's the public comments? Did you submit one? No, just open it and close it. Oh, is there anyone that has any public comments? Open? Oh. Open? Never done it this way, so sorry. Okay, no one? Okay, we're closing public comments for that topic. Next is 6D, which is discussion item for our spring 2026 joint governance meeting. We're saying March. Anyone have a date in mind already?
When's spring break?
Spring break is the last week of March, first week of April.
Are we aiming for it to be on Thursdays? Is that the goal?
I think that would, well, Tuesdays are tough because we
Right,
both
we
have our
both have our
board meetings on
meetings,
that
yeah.
day. So any day but Tuesday. So Thursday seems like the best day, so everyone gets an extra day.
All right, well, I just want to say I cannot do the third week of March, which is the 19th, and that date's out for me.
The 26th of March. Spring break is the week after, March 30th through April 3rd. That's spring break. So Thursday, March 26th, work for the city?
I'm seeing some, I'm going down the line. And Councilman Ike?
Council.
He's not sure. It's okay, because it's far enough away that you don't have to be sure. I think we're just going to try and get
We're
something
just going to
down.
get something, yeah.
Yeah, the non-weeks of our city council meeting, I tend to travel for
Oh.
work because I have a job, so it's hard the non-city council week. So I prefer the first or the third weeks.
First or the...
And I would just note that that date, March 26th, would be the fourth Thursday of an odd-numbered month, which would normally be a joint use scheduled meeting for what we used to call the Joint Use Committee, which will be
Joint
something else.
Operations Committee.
Joint Operations Committee. So that might be difficult for the staff to be morning and
both?
night.
Yeah. The 5th?
Josh
Sounds like
isn't
that.
available on the 19th.
How, why don't we look back to the 5th then,
The 5th, March 5th.
which would be the first week of the month, so in line with what Councilman Ike was saying.
We're
On
good
a
with that?
Thursday, not on a meeting night that we normally have, and not in a joint use night, or joint
Okay.
operation team night.
Thursday, March 5th will be our next joint governance meeting. 6 p.m. It will probably be in your home court this time, right?
Yeah,
Or do you
well, and I'll say in terms of an agenda, obviously, the whole point of the structure is there's a place for us to now go set an agenda, but what I'm hearing is that we are likely to do our state of the city, state of the schools. So you'd hear from your superintendent, your board president, you'd hear from me, I'm sorry in advance, and Dr. Jordan as your city manager. An opportunity to really say your primary government entities here in town, here's where we are and what we have been up to and what we envision for the coming year, as well as to take up the work that we've just described. So now we know we need to create working groups, but those work groups have a deadline certain. You know when you're going to be asked to report out and to make use of the time that we've just set on our calendar. So I hear at least those 4 agenda items for our next meeting, a fairly meaty agenda.
SOPs also for the...
Yeah, and I think probably those will be done at the joint admin level for that purpose, but probably we'll want to ratify something. So, not to say that there couldn't be other things, and I wish
At
us all a
least
very
that.
happy and safe and successful rest of the year, that we have nothing exciting happen. My rule is that when the schools are in the paper, we're doing well, and I like the city to stay nice and boring. So I hope that for us through next March.
May I add a request for that meeting? We had our State of the District meeting where we incorporated some performances by different people in our schools, different kids, and it was great. Not that these meetings aren't incredibly exciting, but if we can interweave some performances by our students or other groups, doesn't have to be our students, it could be any other groups. You know, I love having the scouts here or that kind of stuff just to make it more of the community. So what we kind of did with ours is sort of between each agenda item, we had a performance. I mean, maybe that's the wrong word for it, but that's basically what it was by different students. And I'd love to do that again if we can. I know it's a lot of work to coordinate.
Definitely.
So I'm saying that with my back to our staff, so sorry, guys.
Yeah, I think when we get into the admin team, we can start working through exactly how we want to make that work. I look forward to seeing Dr. Jordan's soft shoe and the city staff talent show will produce our contested entries, I'm sure. I'm getting some head nods. No, I'm getting a no from the city staff. Okay, well, we'll think of something. And again, part of the reason we put about 6 months between these is to give us that opportunity to really work on a meaningful agenda. So I look forward to that opportunity with my counterpart.
So we are now on 7, which is concluding business. I'm going to start with my Vice President Octavia Thutt's comments.
I haven't said much at all. I haven't said anything tonight. And there is a lot going on here. I want to say that I know that we can do what we need to do. And we are capable, we are a conscientious community, and I'm excited to see what comes from all these working groups. It's a lot to take in, and we want to do the right thing. And I'm excited to see what happens going forward.
All right, I'm just going to say thank you to everybody for coming out and enjoyed it a lot. And in a joint use adjacent, wish all of our families a safe Halloween as they traverse the city in the next evening.
Well, I'll have to throw something in about another joint thing that we're working on, and that is our sister cities, La Cañada, Flint Ridge Sister Cities are hosting a concert on Saturday night. That's why the parking is tough tonight. All the kids are rehearsing. It'll be right here at Lantern Auditorium. Just putting a quick plug in there for it'll be a world-renowned Spanish conductor and composer Oscar Navarro, along with the La Cañada High School Chamber Singers, concert choir, the Pasadena Youth Symphony, and I believe we're also going to have some of our orchestra or band there. So it'll be quite a nice event Saturday night here at Lantern. And it's a joint sister cities kind of thing, so it's perfect for this agenda.
Mr. Radabaugh?
Just super pleased that collectively we're taking the next step on these important things on behalf of the community. Long overdue. I'm excited and proud that we're doing it. I can't wait to see what unfolds over time, which will be great. Just a little some PR. I think your 8-1 LCHS Spartan varsity football team plays San Marino at San Marino tomorrow night. So if you want to make that game, please do. And just hope everybody has a happy and safe Halloween tomorrow.
Mr. Ike?
I have my own microphone that works now. I'm so happy. No, I think this is great. I think taking some big swings as a group is really important for our community, and I'm glad to do it together. Thank you all for being here. 2 PR things. Restaurant Week is coming up with a lot of our local restaurants, November 7th through the 16th. You can look at discoverlcf.com for more information. And Kim, just as a reminder to talk about Saturday morning. Thank you.
Mr. Davitt?
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. It's great to have these meetings. I've been on the council for a long, long time, and I don't think we had a joint meeting until maybe 2-3 years ago. And so I think it's really super that we do this. So thank you all. And yeah, safe Halloween for everybody.
Ms. Fossen?
I'll just reiterate what everyone else has said. This has been a wonderful opportunity to get together and hear your all's thoughts. I think as the 2 only public agencies in town, it's really important that we're working in lockstep, and I'm delighted that we have the opportunity to move our cooperation forward. Thank you.
Mrs. Hobson?
I'll just say that the collaboration is really special. You don't always see that among 10 publicly elected officials, and I think it's very unique to our city, and I'm glad to be a part of that. And wow, we put a lot of things on the table tonight that I'm not sure I've seen in a very long time, and it's going to be really, really, I think, empowering for the city for us to work on these things.
Mayor Bowman.
Thank you. This is, it sounds either a little silly or maybe even a little sad, but this is a dream of mine, right? It took a lot to get the first meeting in 2023. It takes a lot more to create a structure and the kinds of long-term partnerships that make it work forever. And that's the work we're doing. But I think when it's really meaningful work, you lose yourself in it. The time doesn't matter so much. The pain and the suffering, it's you know, tragedy plus time is comedy. You only remember the good stuff. I think that this is one of those things that our community is bettered by, and I think, I mean, me personally, I am better because of all of you and the work that we do together, and I mean that so sincerely. So thank you for your individual leadership and for your collective hard work on behalf of the folks that, as I say, that make our community, the ones that live here, the ones that work here, that play here, and that go to school here. We are La Cañada Flint Ridge, and I am really just deeply honored to be doing it with y'all. So thank you.
I knew I had to go after him, so I wrote it because I'm not as eloquent as him. I want to thank everyone for the time and energy and care you've brought to tonight's meeting. Our shared commitment to this community, and especially to our students and families, is what makes La Cañada such a special place. I'm grateful for the spirit of partnership we share, and I look forward to continuing this important work together. I wanted to see if anyone, Wendy, Dan, cabinet members.
I think the mayor might have one more announcement. No?
Well, I wasn't sure if because it's actually technically a city staff thing. The mayor's hike is 8 a.m. at Descanso, and then just spend the whole day with us doing Sister Cities stuff. It's a Sister Cities hike on Saturday at 8 a.m. Descanso. Spend the whole day with us doing Sister City stuff. It'll be a hoot.
Thank you, and we are adjourning at 7:42 p.m.
Wow.
That's right. A little longer than we thought. I was doing 1:30.
And we started like
we were a little late. That's true. We were late. We were late. That's very true.
We weren't coming out of closed or anything. It wasn't too crazy. We weren't all stressed about whatever closed session there was for her.
Jamie, is Toby here?